The main type of steppe politics was simple enough. When one of the tribes became too strong, the other tribes were united against it. The variety of unions was explained by a large number of inter-clan relations, unity or dissension of clans in the same tribe, as well as friendship or rivalry of leaders. Transitions of his army were not measured in kilometers, but in degrees of latitude and longitude. The whole Christian world quaked of one name, Genghis Khan, and Muslims were convinced that all his actions were actions of a supernatural creature. Rustam Rahmanaliyev, The Turks' Empire, Great Civilization. The Great Kurultai of 1206. By 1206, Genghis Khan gathered under his rule almost all the Turkic Mongol tribes, according to secret history, all people who lived in felt tents from the Altai to the Argun and from the Siberian taiga to the Great Wall of China. He had the right to consider the moment suitable for solemn investment himself emperor title. Therefore, it was necessary to convene the Kurultai. Before that, Temujin was elected and named Genghis Khan by part of tribal leaders, including princes, who in virtue of their high origin could also claim for the Khanate. Now he decided to once again establish himself in this position as the Khan of the whole nation. All the Turkic Mongols and the Kurultai confirmed his title, Genghis Khan. The Kurultai was the supreme authority, and only it had the right to entrust the management to a certain person, hereinafter referred to as Khan. To the Kurultai gathered princes, uncles and cousins of princes and princesses, brothers-in-law Gurkhans, influential noyons and senior emirs, officials, as well as kings and rulers subdued to the Mongols. They were all in significant number, with their retinue and servants, with big gifts and offerings. Honored guests were lodged in tents, the number of which reached 1,000. Meanwhile, astrologers were choosing the day favorable for the Khan's enthronement. The Kurultai usually lasted from a few days to a few weeks. At that, according to Joly's story, the participants every day put on new clothes of different colors. Khan's enthronement ceremony took place in a tent specially erected for this occasion. All participants ritually uncovered their heads, untied their belts, and threw them over their shoulders. Two of the eldest members of the Khan's clan took the elect's hands and seated him on the throne of the supreme power and the pillow of the reign. All attendants knelt down and 3 times shouted the name of the new Khan. Then the princes and nobility gave a written oath of allegiance to the new sovereign. Upon leaving the tent, they made triple worship of the sun. After that, they all started to drink and feasted for a week or 2.
Kurultai – это церемониал. Это уже все законченная форма соглашения между властью, тем человеком.
The Kurultai is a ceremonial. It is already a complete form of agreement between the authorities, the person who will have this executive power, and the whole consultative tribal confederation. All this is a stage, a consensus. This is a creation of a microcosm, a social medium at the level of society, how it should behave in this world. It is already static, it is already dynamic. There is no struggle anymore. That's what the Kurultai is. Therefore, when the Khan was raised on a white felt, he sat there, he already assumed the role of this ruler, this sun, which should illuminate the whole world with its light. That is, a harmony of peace was created for the Turkic society, for the Turkic nature, for the Turkic culture, its space, the universe. It is not important how long it will last, it can end in 10 years. One Khan or another was raised on the white felt, but if there is no inner core, stability, harmony, it will be just a ceremonial that doesn't really become a guarantee that there will be stability tomorrow.
Но если нет внутри уже сложившейся, какой-то стержня этой стабильности, гармонии, то это просто будет церемониал, который не станет на самом деле залогом того, что завтра будет стабильность.
God is in heaven, the Khan is power of God on earth, seal of Lord of mankind. Inscription on the state jasper seal. For the victory he was indebted to loyalty, allegiance and courage of his companions. 20 paragraphs of secret history were dedicated to listing merits of the people who helped Temujin come to power, as well as prizes awarded to them by Genghis Khan. On a wide scale, performing his duty to his companions, Genghis Khan set about his main task: to impose a new order in the life of the Great Steppe, and it became clear that to win power was easier than to keep it. It should be noted that at this Kurultai, Shaman Kokchu played a significant role. He was called Teb-Tengri, the most heavenly. In the Mongols' magical world, shamans took the place which was equal to leaders of tribes and clans, according to prestige and influence. Roaming around the country, the shaman communicated with members of different tribes. Spreading rumors, he could influence the policy of one or another tribe and manipulate people. At Shaman Kokchu's suggestion, which was unanimously taken up by the whole Kurultai, Genghis Khan was proclaimed divine. He was raised up on the felt over the heads of the people around him, and they shouted, expressing their consent to obey him. Shaman Kokchu helped Genghis Khan lay religious foundations of power. Considering himself protected person due to his magical abilities and position of his father Munlik in the imperial clan, he behaved arrogantly and tried to lead the emperor. Kokchu was vainglorious. He thirsted for power, wrote Joly. At first he tried to put Genghis Khan and his brother Khazar against each other. Then Kokchu dealt with Temuçey, Genghis Khan's youngest brother, and once publicly insulted him. Wise Borte, Genghis Khan's wife, warned her husband. If it is possible to insult your brothers in your lifetime, after your death people will make head against your children. In this time, Genghis Khan allowed Temuçey to do away with the court sorcerer. When a few days later Kokchu with his father Munlik came to visit Genghis Khan, Temuçey seized the shaman by his throat. The emperor ordered them to go out and solve the problem outside. As soon as Kökçü went out of the imperial tent, he was seized by 3 guards of Temuçin, and with Genghis Khan's tacit approval, they broke his spinal column without spilling blood.
Kökçü, поддержав Чингисхана,
Kökçü, having supported Genghis Khan, obtained the highest rank, Teb-Tengri, heavenly. The most important thing in this was that it indicated mutual care of each other. It was a union of political power and spiritual power. In principle, in their time, Han Shan Yu and Turkic Khagans concentrated in themselves both political power and spiritual one. We know that under Genghis Khan's rule, shamans became a separate branch of government.
При Чингисхане вот мы видим, что шаманы уже становятся отдельной ветвью управления.
You have become king of kings. Supreme Lord commanded that your name was Genghis Khan, king of kings and sovereign of sovereigns. Kökçü, Rashid ad-Din, Collection of Annals. In spite of the physical destruction of Shaman Kökçü, Genghis Khan's new empire was still based on the religious basis, ancient Turkic-Mongol animism, imbued with of Mazday and Chinese elements in various extents. Tengri, deified heaven or god of heaven, was God, and the Great Khan was his personification. In this regard, Genghis Khan repeatedly referred to the ancient protocols of Turkic Khagans of 7th-8th centuries mentioned in inscriptions in Tsaydam. I am, who is similar to heaven and heaven-born, Bilge Khagan of the Turks.
Тенгри – это божество небесное, это патриарх, это отец, это солнце, в отличие от
Tengri as a heavenly deity, it is a patriarch, it is a father, it is the sun, unlike Umay, a Dik Yersu, holy earth water, in contrast to Umay's succession to a cave, told the economy on earth to servants, that is what followed. In the Mongolian period, strengthening of paternal relations was associated with this separation of the cult of heaven and its perfection. But this doesn't mean that the Mongols abandoned the earth, the moon. They said that heaven and earth had agreed to raise Temujin to the throne. The Turks had the same form. Tengri and the Dik Yersu agreed to raise Ilitmish and his mother Khatun el-Bilge to the throne. Each tribe had its own polytheistic spirits, which also had to be represented. Genghis Khan needed such a priest, Teb-Tengri, who would glorify his father's Kiyat clan and who would worship Tengri as the father, the sky.
А вот для Чингисхана нужен был такой жрец, Теп-Тенгри, который бы возвышал бы его отцовский род, Киятов, и который бы поклонялся Тенгри. Именно как отцу, как небу.
Genghis Khan himself had a special reverence for the deity who sat on mountain Burkan Khaldun, present-day Kentay, in the upper reaches of the Onon. When at the beginning of his career the fleet-footed horse saved him from the Merkids, he took refuge from the pursuit just on that mountain. Therefore, as soon as he had an opportunity, he ascended the mountain and, according to the Mongol custom, taking off his cap and throwing his belt over his shoulders, he knelt down 9 times and drank a ritual cup of kumis. Later, before the Great War with the Tsin Empire, he once again made a pilgrimage to mountain Burkan Khaldun. Then, on the eve of the campaign, he didn't come out of his tent for 3 days, staying alone with the spirit. And meanwhile, people surrounding him cried loudly, "Tengri, Tengri. On the fourth day, Great Khan came out and announced to the people that eternal Tengri had promised him the victory. It should be noted that due to superstitious fear of heaven and magic formulas, the Mongols try not to quarrel with their shamans and with other possible members of God, with Nestorians priests who lived among the Karaites and Donguts, with Buddhist monks of the Uyghurs and Khitans, Chinese Taoist wizards, Tibetan lamas, Franciscan missionaries, and Muslim mullahs. Genghis Khan even exempted them from all taxes and levies, since they asked of heaven the happiness for the emperor. So, everyone's superstitious anxiety engendered universal tolerance. Genghis Khan's descendants became intolerable only when they ceased to be superstitious. Actually, I sometimes think that he was a divine man. I sometimes think so because it's incredible. This man, roughly speaking, having no education, created an academy in Karakorum. He took care of all scientists. He listened to all religious leaders, collected them, and helped them. He said, whoever offends a religious figure, a spiritual person, a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, etc., he will be sentenced to death, because the bearer of truth was important to him, a man of action. The one who brought benefit was important to him. Benefit was on the first place. Benefit, benefit, and benefit. But in order to get this benefit, wisdom is needed. It's not like to capture, kill, or destroy. This benefit comes from a consciousness, who you are in this world, who your friends are in this world, who your wife is in this world, who your warriors are in this world, and who your military leaders are in this world. A system of values is built, and the more clearly it is built, the more effectively will work the army, the troops, the state, and its policy. This is what modern management strives for. Sometimes people joke saying that Genghis Khan was the best manager, because when 10 people had run away, he cut off their heads, and there was an ideal discipline. We command all to believe in one God, creator of heaven and earth, the only giver of wealth and poverty, life and death, according to his will, who has omnipotence in all cases. The first article of Genghis' code, Yassi.
Впрочем, по утверждению Лэма, у которого мы заимствуем эти сведения,
However, according to Lam, from whom we take this information, this wonderful article wasn't made known, probably for the reason that the emperor didn't want to bring elements of religious strife to the environment of his subjects, and this should be recognized a wise decision. To such a broad religious tolerance that prevailed in Genghis' empire in the 13th century, Europe reached, and only relatively, in the 18th century, after it experienced crusades undertaken for mass extermination of heretics and pagans, and after a few centuries during which fires of the Inquisition flamed. Both the Turks and the Mongols formed a new Mongol nation, Mongol Ulus, and from then, under the name of the Mongols, in history came down both winners and losers, Karaites, Naimans, and Borjigins, and under this name they became famous. In this regard, in secret history it is written, Genghis Khan from here proclaimed the single name of the Mongols. All the leaders of various clans and tribes should become vassals of the Mongol Khan and get the name Mongol. In other words, the name Mongol spread to all the tribes united under Genghis Khan's scepter. Genghizid Mongols sometimes called themselves Blue Mongols, the same as the ancient Turks were called Blue Turks. In this case, the epithet blue means heaven, Tengri, and Turkic Khagans, then the Great Khan's Jenghizids, considered themselves his special representatives and envoys in the world.
По-древнетюркски слово «мен» означает «всадник».
In ancient Turkic language, the word man means horseman. Gol is river in ancient Turkic, that is, a horseman that flows like a river in the sense of a nomad. When Genghis Khan collected a huge multinational horde in a single state, he needed to come up with a new name for it. And to make this idea attractive, he called it Mongol. It means horseman. It is concordant with the Chinese name, or it is an accidental coincidence. When the Mongols conquered China, the Mongols was not an ethnos. It was not a nation of that time. It was so-called polytonym. That is, in this polytonym, as a Russian, as a Kazakh, there were a lot of different tribes at the time. Then there were no nations in the modern sense. There were many clans. And it somehow coincided with the Chinese name. It was such an accidental coincidence. Mongol, men go, the horsemen's country and horsemen themselves. And when they conquered China, naturally, the Chinese translated the word man, barbarian, as horseman. They took the Mongolian calque. And it was such a coincidence. Many Russian scientists in the late 19th century, in the early 20th century, famous Bachurin was among them, while translating ancient Chinese texts, including secret history, they met with this term. The term was forgotten. Later I will explain how it was forgotten. By those tribes that participated in Genghis Khan's campaigns and formed the empire.
Среди тех племен, которые участвовали в походах Чингисхана, формировали империю.
Одной из первых забот после объединения Чингисханом всех монгольских племен.
One of the first concerns of Genghis Khan after consolidation of all Mongol tribes into one great power was creation of an armed forces capable to maintain the unity of the empire and to implement those extensive political plans which the Mongol sovereign could set out. The second task after organization of the troops was to establish civil control of the empire, and to rearrange it, perhaps, was even more difficult, because the Mongols were at the primitive stage of culture, and Genghis Khan, as we saw, didn't know any language other than his native one, which didn't have writing at that time. The first teacher of the Mongols in that respect was Uyghur Tota Tunga, the keeper of the seals of Naiman state, headed by Tayan Khan, who was killed in a battle with Genghis Khan.
Хана, Таян хана, который погиб в битве с Чингисханом.
Genghis Khan, with his genius mind, evaluated great importance of writing and immediately took advantage of services of this captive dignitary to satisfy the needs of his state, as well as to raise the cultural development of nomadic peoples subjected to him. Of course, for this purpose, he could use another ancient civilization within his reach, Chinese civilization. But he preferred the Uyghur one, apparently because it was closer to the nomads in spirit. Among the Uyghurs, there were many remnants of nomadic traditions and steppe customs. Digestion of this culture by the Mongol nobility didn't separate it from its people and didn't undermine its devotion to the steppe customs.
Чингисхан в меру расширения своих владений понимал, что без государственного дела производства...
Genghis Khan, as he expanded his possessions, understood that he couldn't do without state record keeping. To declare legislative acts and to issue orders, he created a whole department of record keeping. Record clerks of Tayan Khan, the Naiman ruler, came to serve him. He used writing, Uyghur writing. He used Naiman clerks.
Он использует письменность, уйгурскую письменность. Он использует найманских писарей. И это дело производства получает такой размах.
Genghis Khan demanded from the Uyghur scribe that the new writing reflected the most archaic form of the language to combine speakers of different dialects and to strengthen the unity of the Mongol tribes. Mongolian language and writing from the history. Shigiku Tuku, Genghis Khan's stepbrother, proved to be one of the most receptive to digestion of Uyghur writing and education of the Mongols. That's why he was appointed chief judge, and he received from his sovereign brother the following instruction. Now that I've just consolidated all nations, be my ears and eyes. No one will oppose what you say. I entrust you to judge and punish in cases of theft and deception. Whoever will deserve to die, put him to death. Whoever will deserve punishment, impose a penalty from him. Decide cases on division of people's property. Write the decided cases on black plates, so that others will not change after that.
Выбор Чингисхана был очень удачен. Шикикутуху
Genghis Khan's choice was of great success. Shigiku Tuku exemplarily performed his judicial duties, and in some respects he was even higher than his age. For example, he didn't attach any importance to compelled testimonies. Let me say some words about Genghis Khan's adopted son. When Genghis Khan defeated the Tatars, he was going back home. On the way he took a Tatar boy, who had a gold ring and abdominal belt with gold tassels lined with sable. He was put out to Khan's mother, and she called him her sixth son. So, in any case, it is said in secret history.
Появился еще один брат, и самое главное, у него появился тот человек, который наладил ему государственную, исполнительную, судебную, гражданские власти в будущей Великой империи.
After fall of the Uyghurs in 840, the steppe empire almost fell into oblivion. Genghis Khan proclaimed himself the supreme Khan of all who lived in felt tents, and said that the old empire, which was alternately possessed by the Turks' ancestors Khans, then by the Mongols' ancestors Jujuans and Hephthalites, then by the Turks Uyghurs again, was completely restored under the rule of the Mongols. Genghis Khan. So the empire has its head, it has an area, it has a horde, the people's army. It needs a set of laws obligatory for all. But about this you'll learn in the next episodes.